Thank you for tuning into the GSMC Soccer Podcast brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. We have a great show for you today. We will be discussing the USMNT defeating New Zealand 4-1 in their second Olympic game match of this men's Olympic soccer game match of this Olympic Games. We'll also discuss Matchday 2, the rest of Matchday 2 from Olympics men's soccer. We'll be previewing the USA game against Guinea coming up tomorrow, or technically in 30 minutes. It will be today, technically, that big game. And then make sure you stick around for the end of the show, where I'll be giving you my thoughts on some of the Olympic men's soccer Matchday 3 previews of the rest of the games going on. Before we start off, I'd like to ask that y'all please like and follow the show. Also, we get a number of questions that come in during the show. So to ensure that your questions get read on the air, I ask that you use the tips and donations link at GSMCpodcast.net with your questions. This puts your questions at the top of the list so that I can see it. And it also really helps grow the show. So again, the link is GSMCpodcast.net. We have to start off with the U.S. men's Olympic soccer team being able to defeat the likes of New Zealand 4-1 to right the wrong of losing 3-0 to France in that opening game by getting some goals in there, by making up that goal differential, bringing up your goal differential to 0, and also getting a crucial 3 points against a New Zealand team that was coming in relatively pole position to get out of this group, with the fact that they started off their opening game with a win, and they found themselves in a position that if they could take care of the US, well, they're going through at the expense of the US, and well, they didn't take care of the US, and quite frankly, they got done by the US in a game that wasn't close in terms of play on the field, but a game that really should have gone, the U.S. should have gone more out of the game. It should not have been 4-1. They should not have conceded later on in the first place, number one. Number two, with New Zealand, with the U.S., there was opportunities that they had that really make this game disappear early on, where it wasn't a contest in the second half, but they had their chances. And to be honest, it's still a little bit of a concern in the fact that in terms of open play, it doesn't seem like we'll be able to create, despite having being more on the front foot, being completely dominant in the way we didn't create enough clear-cut chances. We scored the first goal with the penalty kick opportunity, which was perfect. That was, that's the perfect way for a team that does struggle in terms of the goals to, get the breakthrough. But then if you continue on and watch in that the second goal, it was a scruffy sort of free kick. Third goal, it was a decent opportunity created. Another scruffy goal from Busio, and it was overall a both-sided performance in terms of positive and negative. The positive, obviously, is getting the win. That was ultra important. You couldn't put into words how important winning this game is. Winning this game was absolutely crucial for the U.S. Olympic soccer team's chances to go through, because you start off with the loss. It's self-explanatory. This is not like the European Championship where third-place teams could potentially go on. It's not like that. It's top two, and it's win or die, and a survivor died today, and it was survive, or a few days ago, and the U.S. men's Olympic soccer team survived. But yeah, just not enough opportunities created within open play, in my opinion. Not enough clear-cut opportunities created, and I still think for an overage player, Mihailovic, yes, he wasn't bad by any means. He was not bad, but he wasn't good. He was just there. He was just there. And for someone who's an overage player playing that sort of advanced midfield position, that's the sort of player that needs to take the game by the scruff of the neck, and that really dictates how the U.S. create opportunities. And we just didn't see that from Mihailovic. You know, he had a great penalty. I'll give him that. He had an amazing penalty, a great way to step up as a leader, being one of the overage guys. And apart from that, there was nothing. Even the goal that they scored, the set piece opportunity, the cross he put in was a horrible cross. I mean, it was completely under hit, and you know, a few, you know, ricochet or a squatting header, and then a few ricochets. It gets to the likes of Walker Zimmerman, who also he had another good game, by the way. He has been very solid as an overage player so far in this tournament. Miles Robinson, I can't really say the same. That he was as well shaky again in this game for an overage player standards, because they should be held at a higher standard than the rest of them. You know, the rest of them. We should not hold Miles Robinson to the same standards that we hold Tolkien. I thought Tolkien and Harriel were very good. Decent. Harriel won the opening penalty. I thought they gave us width. I thought they defended really, really well. And I thought overall they were pretty solid in both games in terms of what they were able to provide in terms of, because I think when we're on the front foot and we have fullbacks making those overlapping runs, I think we are more of a threat, and we can really scare some teams going forward, because there is ability, there's work rate. They have the energy levels, both Harriel and Tolkien do, to go up and down, which is very pleasing to see in this game. They had the energy levels, especially in the first half, to make those runs. And overlap on the wingers and all that, but they also had the energy to go back and defend. And you saw Paredes; he was able to help out. He was able to help out on his side when Tolkien would go up, and you see the same with Aronson. You know, we have wingers that are willing to defend, or that are willing to drop back once in a while, and that makes it pivotal. I think another thing is, you know, in that last 20-30 minutes, I thought we looked really, really good. Especially, I'd have to say, Griffin Yao. You know, he's been really good in the spare minutes that he's had in this tournament. He's been pretty good. I thought Griffin Yao was very, very good coming in, and he should be a real contender to break in there. I discussed maybe playing him in a false nine position, because I think he has more quality overall than Duncan McGuire. But if he does come in, he'll probably go like for like. He'll probably take out Paredes, who Paredes has had sort of an up and down. No, not even up and down. It's not the best tournament so far. He's had to do a lot of defensive works, protecting the likes of Tolkien going up and down, or Harriel going up and down. But he's a really, really good player. He has the quality, but I think Griffin Yao has been really, really solid off the bench. I thought Taylor Booth came in and gave us something a little bit different. There's some quality in this team. There definitely is. I think they gave us more than Duncan McGuire and Georgi Mihailovic, who both just were not that good. Tanner Tessman, I thought, showed some really, really good qualities in midfield. His ability to defend in front of a back line and also to pick out a ball, that he was really, really solid. He was a threat on set pieces. That Busio was good when he was able to be available. He got hurt, which could be a big loss, because I think he's been one of our best players so far up to this point, and that'll be a big loss if he's not available to return against Guinea. And, we'll probably have to shift up how we're going to do it in the midfield. I think Jack McGlynn is probably the like for like in that position. Maybe Mitrovic decides to go with Benjamin Kramaski and change it up? I don't think so. I don't think that's the right option. I do prefer Jack McGlynn, who was actually pretty good when he came in. I wasn't the biggest fan of him being in this roster, but I thought it was pretty solid so far in this tournament. So yeah, it's gonna be very, very interesting. Now look, the quality was not there from New Zealand though. This was not that big of a result in the fact that New Zealand, after that, after that opening minutes, they just looked flustered, and then especially after conceding that penalty, I mean, the U.S. just suffocated them for that next 10-15 minutes. New Zealand struggled to play out, and they really, really looked shaken, and really there was just a lack of quality, and they're just not that good. Honestly, I think Guinea will be a bigger test than New Zealand, because Guinea has that wild card factor of, going forward, they have a real threat to do something. I don't think New Zealand didn't provide that much of a threat at all. I thought the composure was not there from the midfield players. I thought there was no real quality from the attackers. They scored a nice goal. They were able to get a really nice goal, a really good half turn from their forward player. I forgot what was his name, but apart from that, defensively, that they looked really shaky. I thought Paulson wasn't that commanding, being in goal. And yeah, frustrating for New Zealand, and important result for the U.S. And the result was good, but the performance was okay. Looking at it on surface, 4-1, but this was a poor New Zealand team. And honestly, if you compare this performance to France's performance, probably lean towards France's performance being better than this performance, because from front to bottom, we didn't really dominate the game as we should. In fact, I think that in terms of we were able to get the scruffy goals and take advantage of it early, a poor New Zealand team. But in terms of general play, it was in the second half, later in the second half, when we brought on the likes of Griffin Yao and the crew. That's when I thought we looked a little bit more of an attacking force, showed a little bit more quality, and we're threatening New Zealand more, and looked like more of a proper footballing team, someone who actually, a team with real quality. So yeah, definitely things to improve on, but look, you'd rather do it with 3 points in the bag and put yourself in prime position to move on. So great day for U.S. men's Olympic soccer, and we'll preview that game against Guinea in the third segment, so stay tuned. Short break here coming up. When we come back, we'll react to Olympics men's soccer match day 2.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign.
I wanna be the greatest. Everybody on the fake shit. I look around and feel like everybody is the fakest. I make this every day and I'm impatient, hoping one day I blow up from the basement. Statement, the top is so vacant. I don't hear shit that I think is amazing. Waiting for my day when I'm playing sold out shows for 1,000 faces. Hey, give me that crown, get in my way and to be put down. It ain't your place, all this my town. If I want that shit, then I'll get it right now. I'm losing it, the noose it fits. I'm losing shit, a stupid myth. You choose to live or choose to dip. You choose to fight or lose your grip and lose a gift.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind?
Before the break, we reacted to the U.S. men's Olympic soccer team defeating New Zealand 4-1. We move on to discuss Olympic men's soccer match day 2. Obviously, it was a amazing day of football, of Olympic soccer. We had some crucial teams get bouncing back to get wins after disappointing opening days. I'm talking about the likes of Argentina defeating Iraq, USA obviously defeating New Zealand, Egypt, although not following a loss but a disappointing draw, were able to come back and this week and defeat Uzbekistan, and Ukraine was able to pull off the upset, the late winner in that ridiculous game against Morocco. And then we had that wonderful game between Israel and Paraguay. And then but let's just go in order from this list. Actually, let's start off with Argentina taking on Iraq. So Argentina, they were able to take advantage early with their opening game. They were able to score early to get their opening goal against Iraq, and it really set the tone from there. I thought the big time players showed up for Manchester City. I'm talking about the likes of Julian Alvarez, who had 2 assists, and then the likes of Thiago Almada getting a goal, a wonderful strike from Thiago Almada that came in the first goal, and this was an important 3 points, not only for the likes of Argentina, but also for the likes of Javier Mascherano, who's really getting criticized at that opening day defeat, despite, the circumstances of it and all that went down with it. It was something that Javier Mascherano was getting criticism for, people questioning the validity of him being a manager and whether or not his name had a lot to do with it. But, they were able to pull off the result and get level. And it was a big win for them because this puts them level with Iraq and Ukraine. It puts them level, and Morocco puts them with the Ukraine stunning Morocco. It puts everybody at 3 points entering that final day, and it puts Argentina in a position that, they control their own destiny. They're right now top of the group based on goal differential. So if they can match any other result, they'll be the team that wins the group, and that'll be important because you want to put yourself in a position in those 4 to avoid France and put yourself, if you avoid France in the quarterfinals, you put yourself in a position in the quarterfinals. You're probably playing USA most likely. Then you're one game, and then you're there, and then you're a US game away from being in a medal game in a semifinal. So that's how big of a deal that result was. Almada. Amazing finish from great pass from Alvarez, but amazing finish from him in the 13th minute. Gundo was able to get the header in the 62nd minute, take advantage of it after Iraq equalized it before the half from Ahmed Hassan, who headed the goal home, and then Argentina was able to get that second, and then that third goal came in the 85th minute. A great goal by Nicolas Mendola, absolutely great goal. Great build up with the passing from the passing of Argentina, and then Fernandez was able to get the goal. Fernandez was able to get a really, really important goal for Argentina that allowed them to cruise to victory. Dominican Republic took on Spain, but Spain were able to get the 3 points. And Dominican Republic actually put up a good fight despite going down to 10 men. This was a Dominican team that's, really tight, really comfortable with parking the bus and allowing them to absorb pressure. But, when you have the likes of quality that Spain does in terms of technical ability, they also can have the cleverness and ability to break them down, in which Fermin Lopez was able to break them down in the 24th minute. But Dominican Republic was able to equalize after with a header by Angel Montes de Oca, and that was like an amazing moment for them because, after Spain was able to get that goal, I really struggled whether or not, I thought this game was about to go up and away. I really did not see any possibility that the Dominican Republic can get their self back into it. And the fact that, when you're playing that defensive sort of system, the worst thing that can happen is you concede, and you concede early. and that's exactly what happened. But they were able to get a cross in, take advantage of it on a corner kick, which is the perfect way to take advantage of it. If you're not going to be able to create much chances, the perfect way to, get that goal is through a header, in which they were able to get that header, and then the big moment of this game was the end of the first half. Edison Ascona, Dominican Republic player, was given a straight red card in stoppage time, right before halftime, for kicking Pau Cubarsi in the groin area. And then from there on, with Dominican Republic playing with 10 men, it was always going to be a disadvantage. And Spain took advantage of being up a man shortly after the kickoff, with a deflected shot from Alex Baena to get the lead, to take the lead 2-1. And then, Spain just controlled the ball and was able to create a lot of opportunities for themselves through their ability to play that possession-oriented style. And they were able to find that third goal from Miguel Gutierrez to give them the 3-1 lead. And this put Spain into the round of 16. And now that Uzbekistan lost to Egypt, it now looks for, it's looking likely that, I think actually they have clinched they have not clinched first place actually, but they control it, because all they need to do is play Egypt and take care of that. Dominican Republic is not exactly eliminated either. There's a pathway for them. Obviously, they need to beat Uzbekistan, and then it's like goal differential battle with them in Egypt. So that'll be interesting. Uzbekistan took on Egypt. Big game for Egypt, coming off that disappointing loss. Also big game for a disappointing draw. Also big game for Uzbekistan, coming off of a loss themselves. But it was Ahmed Koka who got the Egypts in front in a very weird scenario in front of goal. It was a very, very, very weird moment in front of goal. Weird sequence, but Egypt were able to take advantage of that opportunity, and that's all they needed. From there on out, it was comfortable. They controlled possession, and they never really got out of first gear. They soothed their way into victory, and they were able to to win the game, and important win for them. Uzbekistan, they found themselves certain times that they were threatening, especially later on in the game, as the game got into stoppage time and all. But, I didn't really, watching the game, I never thought it was, Egypt were, in trouble, and they were able to see it out. And this win puts Egypt in an amazing place to qualify after that opening day disappointment, with only being 2 points behind Spain, but being 3 points ahead of Dominican Republic, and Uzbekistan being eliminated. Put yourself 3 points ahead of Dominican Republic. So as long as, Dominican Republic doesn't get a thumping victory over Uzbekistan, and Egypt wet the bed against Spain, Egypt really put themselves in a position that a point guarantees them through, and a loss could probably get them through as well, depending on what happens in that Uzbekistan game. So obviously, great result for Egypt. Ukraine took on Morocco. Ukraine earned a last-minute shocking win over Morocco after Igor Krasnopur was able to score deep in stoppage time, despite the team playing with 10 men for a lot of that second half. So Morocco, they controlled the duration of the game. They owned so much of the possession, and they looked much more threatening, especially down the stretch in that game, despite Ukraine getting the winner at the end. Morocco, especially since that red card, really dominate possession, really dominate chances created. But it was Ukraine that was able to get it first on the score sheet through Dimitro Kriskiv in the 22nd minute. For the rest of the half, Morocco, they threatened. They couldn't get that goal. But eventually they were able to get on the score sheet in the second half, shortly after Volodymyr Selyuk received the red card for fouling Sofiane Rahimi in the penalty box. It was those sort of double jeopardy plays, penalty and the red card. Rahimi, he placed the ball into the back of the net and it made the team level in the 64th minute. And then Ukraine, they really had to sit down and bunker for those last 20 minutes and defend a lot of great opportunities that came from Morocco. A lot of possession, a lot of great play. But Krasnodar was the one at the end, despite all the domination from Morocco. Krasnodar at the end, sort of a late game, sort of goal against the run of play, extremely against the run of play, taps the ball into the net from close range in the 8th minute of added time and completely shakes up the group because of that result. Now you find yourself in a position that all the teams have 3 points entering the final match day and anything is possible. So that leaves us with great two watch games on Tuesday, with Argentina taking on Ukraine and Morocco taking on Iraq. Israel take on Paraguay. Paraguay was able to take advantage of some controversial blown leads to beat Israel 4-2 and really put themselves in a position where they really reignite their hopes of reaching the knockout stage after that hopeless opening day dumping by Japan, 5-0. And, you know, Paraguay, they took leads in the first and second half through Marcelo Fernandez and Brighton's Julio Enciso, but they were both answered by Israeli equalizers from Omri Gandelman and Oscar Gluth. But then Fabian Balbuena was able to get a go-ahead goal in stoppage time to give them the lead. Big goal, and then he was able to get another. And then Fernandez was able to get a second goal in stoppage time in the 96th minute to put it away. But to be honest, despite, you know, in these two games, Israel really has been dominated in terms of run of the play. I think most teams in Mali and Paraguay has been better, but Israel were able to hold on and defend tightly and really hold on for their lives. But, you know, eventually this game, they were finally made to pay. I mean, Paraguay had 35 shots to Israel 7. I mean, it was crazy. And to be honest, both of Israel's goals were extremely controversial. The first goal was kicked from between the hands of the goalkeeper, and then the second one was a VAR penalty that was very shaky, very questionable. But Paraguay was still able to take advantage. Huge result for them, and they've completely revived their hopes. And Israel now put themselves in a really impossible position to get out of this group with the game coming up against Japan. Japan took on Mali. Very tightly contested contest, as I predicted, between two very good teams. But Japan did just enough to earn the win, a last-minute win or late win over Mali. In 82nd minute, Rihito Yamamoto was able to, get a rebound and tap it in from close range. And actually, it came right before Mali wasted an opportunity to... it came right before Mali wasted an opportunity to equalize from the penalty spot. Soto Kawasaki handled the ball and through VAR, and then Chekni Diombi missed the penalty, completely missed the goal, and it was just a heartbreaking loss for Mali and a big loss for Mali. This puts Japan into the next round and first place in the group. And Mali, they need to absolutely, or Mali needs to absolutely beat Paraguay to advance. And that'll be an interesting game because Paraguay is probably going into that game. More likely than not, a point will probably be enough a point will be enough for them, actually. As long as Israel doesn't destroy Japan by a crazy amount. Actually, I don't know how the second tiebreaker works in Olympics. If it's head-to-head, then yeah, they will be going through. So it really depends on the second tiebreaker works. We won't discuss the USA-New Zealand game because obvious reasons, but we will real quickly discuss France-Guinea. France were able to get another clean sheet as they held on to beat Guinea with a late goal after Michael Olise had a moment of quality, pinged the ball into Kylian Sildele with the glancing header in the 76th minute, but it wasn't all puppy dogs and rainbows for France. Guinea had were able to get the ball into the back of the net, but VAR ruled it out, and Guinea had a few opportunities, and they played some good football, and they really made the French really dig in there, and the French again had to rely on individual moments of brilliance from Michael Olise to get the win, because in terms of sustained dominance, it wasn't really there from France, and Guinea actually were able to play football. And it's a disappointing loss for Guinea because this eliminates them. But I thought they gave us some very good football in this tournament. And it's really sad that this is how they go out. But they went out in a progressing in terms of playing good football and not being scared to go at the opposition. And that's all we could ask for, honestly. That really is all that we can ask for. It's a team with a little bit less, opportunities. And yeah, it's a... France, they continue on, but I don't know. France been a little bit shaky, but we'll discuss that later on. Short break. Wow, that segment was long. Short break here coming up. When we come back, we can preview the game between USA and Guinea.
Looking for your daily fix of sports talk without having to pay for it? GSMC Sports Network is available on YouTube. Just search GSMC Sports Network. Get your fix of daily sports talk shows on YouTube, absolutely free. NFL, college football, NBA, MLB, MMA, UFC, fantasy football, and so much more. GSMC Sports Network has shows running all day long, with new sports shows starting every 2 hours. Just like on your favorite cable sports channel, except GSMC Sports Network is absolutely free. Just search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube to catch one of your new favorite shows, like the GSMC College Football Podcast, Chip Shot Football Podcast, Hoops and Heels Women's Sports Podcast, GSMC Basketball Podcast, and so many more. Check it out for yourself. GSMC Sports Network, now available on YouTube absolutely free. Search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube right now.
U.S. men's Olympic soccer team take on Guinea. Obviously, extremely important game for the USA in terms of the fact that this is a game essential for them to seek their quarterfinal berth. They're taking on a Guinea that's eliminated from these Olympic Games and will really be playing for pride at these games, but makes them dangerous in the fact that there will be no pressure. I don't think this is a team that's gonna throw it in the bins and down tools in this game. Guinea's gonna give the US all to fight for. This is a Guinea team that's playing in their first Olympic game, so they're not just gonna waste this opportunity to get their first point at the Olympic Games because they haven't gotten a point yet so far up to this point. So it's gonna be a huge game. The US, obviously, they need to win to get out. A draw could probably be enough, but you put yourself in a position that you're relying that a France team that looks shaky against Guinea takes care of New Zealand. But but yeah, as far as the U.S., if they win the game, they're going through, and that's it. That should be the message for them. You win the game. You win the game against Guinea. You're through. You're through. You're through into the quarterfinals. You know, that's a perfect position to find themselves in, and that's the best position we could have asked for after that opening day defeat, especially the manner in which, not the performance, but the result and the fact that they lost 3-0. It was a great bounce back victory against New Zealand, winning 4-1, puts goal differential back a level, while New Zealand, you dropped down New Zealand at the same time to -2. It was not a performance that we should be proud of, but a result that we should be happy about. There's no two ways about it. Should have been more, could have been more, wasn't more, but still enough. If we came in saying 4-1, we would have been happy with that before the tournament. And now you're taking on a Guinea team that plays some excellent football in this tournament, in my opinion. Really played up and down with France, not being afraid to go at them, not being afraid to go at them. Same with New Zealand. I think New Zealand, I thought New Zealand were more clinical and were more professional in the way that they did it, but I thought Guinea played the better football and looked more threatening. And even in the France game, they played football with them. 12 shots to 9 for France, 4 shots on target to 2. They weren't dominated by any stretch, had about 45% of the possession, and they created some opportunities and some clear-cut opportunities. And so Guinea is able to play. They have players with attacking intent. They're not afraid. You have the likes of guys that have some real quality in this team in terms of Naby Keita, really, really good player. Ajax Moriba was part of the Barcelona setup. Now he's playing at Leipzig. These are not players that are world class by any means, but these are players with real quality and players that will get into the U.S. Olympic starting 11 easily. So, we cannot underestimate Guinea. They have the attacking ability in transition with the pace, with the quality, to give us trouble, to cause trouble for our back line. And defensively, there are, maybe there will be some holes that you can take advantage of absolutely. But it's not going to be some sort of easy outcome. No way. Guinea has a lot of quality. And U.S., they do struggle to, create clear-cut goal-scoring opportunities through open play. We took advantage of set pieces in this tournament in that second game with the penalty against New Zealand and a cross from a free kick position, but didn't create much in terms of open play. Real clear-cut opportunities, had some scruffy goals here and there, but we need to be able to be more. Number one, we need to be clinical. Number one, we have to create more clear-cut opportunities. Number three, our decision-making in the final third has to be more tidy, has to be more clever, because sometimes we make some bad decision-making. I go back to that opening game. Paxton Aronson gets the ball. There was multiple plays that I questioned his decision-making. Number one, he gets the ball. He's able to get past the fullback, and then he decides to strike a near post, even though it was perfect to go curl it back post. That was the perfect shot in that moment. He had another opportunity where he had a chance to play the ball in, few runners going in. Instead, he tries to blast the ball and gets and blasted off one of the French defenders. Doesn't even threaten the French goalkeeper. Decision making got to be more tighter, got to be more clever, got to be more alert. Absolutely. There's places that this U.S. team can improve. And I think Guinea will be more of a test than New Zealand in the fact that I think Guinea has better footballers. I think Guinea overall plays more threatening football. And they just play with more energy and more desire. New Zealand, they're a little timid in the fact that, the energy levels from New Zealand is a little bit more composed, a little bit more, laid back from New Zealand in there, and they're playing not to lose rather than win. Guinea is a team that'll come at you, they'll bring numbers forward, they'll show their pace, and they'll be afraid. They won't be afraid to open up, and they'll play end to end, and they'll play end to end with some real quality. So this is a team that the U.S. men's Olympic soccer team, they cannot underestimate by any means. This is a crucial moment for the U.S. and it'll be one of the best moments in U.S. Olympic soccer history if they can get through. This is not something that's happened since, I believe, the Olympics in 2000. I believe so, because I know we have not qualified since 2008, and we didn't make it out of that group stage in Beijing. So I'm pretty sure, and I don't think we qualified for the 2004 Olympics as well. So I'm pretty sure this will be it, but I need to fact check that. But it's a great moment, and I believe, this is the sort of moment you win this game, you get through the knockout stage. In the Olympic stage, I think this puts the U.S. audience, that quarterfinal, if we do face Argentina or whoever we face, I think that'll get a big audience from U.S. fans, the casual fan tuning in, because despite this as being a glorified youth tournament, this is still Olympic Games, and there will be fans tuning in, some casual soccer fans, and a chance to get the fans' attention back. So huge game tomorrow, and it's massively important that this team gets to the knockout stages. Short break here coming up. When we come back, we'll preview Olympic men's soccer match day 3.
For the best and latest podcasts available anywhere, go to the podcast app on your cell phone and type in GSMC to access free content-rich podcasts on health and wellness, book reviews, sports, entertainment, relationships, social media, movies, technology, finance, and even weird news. Subscribe and download the GSMC Podcast Network's family of shows, available everywhere podcasts are found.
Before the break, we talked about the U.S. men's Olympic team taking on Guinea, previewing that game. Now we previewed the rest of the games that are coming up. These Olympic match day 3, men's soccer Olympic match day 3, and obviously big game. A lot of teams are going to be decided whether or not they move on or not. High stakes in this game. So we'll discuss what the essential ties here. So Group A will start off New Zealand taking on France. So France, they qualify through as long as they win or draw, and even a loss, they'll get through. Even a loss, they'll get through, unless the U.S. also beat Guinea, which is highly likely. So I don't know why I said unless a loss gets through. But that puts the 3 teams on 6 points, and then it'll be separated by goal differential. But they're taking on New Zealand. We assume, you never know in football, but we assume they'll handle that. New Zealand, they need to better the U.S. result to progress, and if both teams were to win, the group would be decided on goal differential, in which the U.S. had an advantage right now. And U.S. they need to win and need to make sure that the goal differential, if New Zealand were to win, they don't match USA's goal differential. So I think it's simple with the U.S. and Guinea. A win or draw would be enough for the U.S. As long as France are not beaten by New Zealand. And then Guinea's, they're technically not eliminated, but their only route to the quarterfinals is they need to beat the U.S. by more than 1 goal, and hoping that France also defeats New Zealand. So actually, Guinea, they still have a possibility to get through. I did not know that. So correct my last statement that I made in the last in the last segment, Guinea, they only need they're not mathematically eliminated. So yeah, I'd like to correct that last statement I made. I was wrong. So yeah. Ukraine taking on Argentina. So Ukraine, obviously, they need to win to be sure of reaching the last quarterfinal. But if both group stage matches end in a draw, then it'll be based on goal differential. Right now, the current standings of that group. Let's pull up that current standings of that group. Actually, I don't have it pulled up right here. Argentina currently, this is based on, they're all obviously on 3 points, but Argentina are currently the team in first place. Their superior goal differential. That's why I said that Fernandez goal later on against Iraq was crucial, because that puts their goal differential at 1. Morocco and Ukraine's are at 0, and Iraq, because of that late goal, is -1. So Iraq is currently the bottom team in that group. All goal differential, but the goal differential is not much. 1 for Argentina, 0 for Morocco, 0 for Ukraine, and -1 for Iraq. Argentina, so based on that goal differential, Argentina has themselves in a position. They win or they draw, they'll go through. As far as Morocco taking on Iraq, Morocco, they already know that a win or draw will send them through, unless both games end up in a tie, which will be based on goal differential. Iraq, they have to win if they want to reach the quarterfinals. A draw will not be enough for them, because Argentina and Ukraine, they're gonna that puts Morocco at 4 points, and then Argentina and Ukraine, someone is going to reach 4 points, and Iraq's goal differential. So Iraq find themselves in a position they must go for it from get-go, because this is a must-win for them. Dominican Republic, moving on to Group C, Dominican Republic taking on Uzbekistan. Dominican Republic has to win, and they need to hope that Egypt lose, which will mean that second place is decided on goal differential. Uzbekistan, they're already eliminated. With Spain taking on Egypt, Spain are already assured that they'll be in the quarterfinal, but they can win the group with a win or a draw. Egypt want to join in the quarterfinals, but they can still be eliminated based on goal differential. If they lose the game and Dominican Republic overcome Uzbekistan and they take care of it. But if Egypt get a draw, at least a win gets them through. A win actually puts them top of the group, but a draw will get them through as well in second place. But if they do lose, they need to be careful and protect the goal differential, because they can find themselves in a position where they get eliminated based on goal differential, which would be an absolutely unmitigated disaster. Final group coming up here. Wow, there's a lot of things going on, and we'll be excited to watch tomorrow. Israel take on Japan. Israel needs to win and hope that the game that's being played between Paraguay and Mali end in a draw. Goal differential will come into play if Mali were to win. Japan, they have already qualified for the knockout stage, so they have nothing to play for. Paraguay, they go through with a win, but getting a tie, a draw will be enough. As long as Israel does not defeat Japan. Mali, they have to get 3 points to have any sort of chance to progress. They need to win, they need to win and hope that Israel does not have a higher goal differential than does not defeat. They need to win, and they need to hope Israel does not defeat Japan by enough goals to finish above Mali based on goal differential. So yeah, there's a lot to play for. A lot of teams are still in it. Most teams are still in it, and this final group stage game is going to be exciting. Big games coming up for a lot of teams. Short break here coming up. When we come back, we'll react to some of the top soccer headlines going on in the soccer world. final segment coming up on today's edition of the GSMC Soccer Podcast, and that will be reacting to the top soccer headlines going on in the football world. We have to start off with Emil Smith-Rowe. He'll be making the move. The player that was once looked at as part of the future for Arsenal has now been dealt with Fulham for about $34 million deal, $34 million pounds. And Fulham have already agreed to deal with Arsenal. It's going to be worth around £34 million, equivalent to $43 million. And this was £27 million straight to Arsenal, and then as the fixed fee, and then a further $7 million extra. Emil Smith-Rowe, he is Fulham's actually first permanent transfer. They're looking to reinvest the money that they've made by selling João Palhinha to Bayern, and a few years ago we looked at Emil Smith-Rowe, Bukayo Saka. Those players, even Odegaard when he came in late into that season, we looked at as the future of the team, the gist of the team, Kieran Tierney. But as Arsenal were able to elevate themselves and really go after the top, they were able to slowly move off the likes of the players of Tierney and Smith-Rowe, who they deemed, yes, they're decent youngsters and they have some ability, but at this sort of level that we're looking to compete at, they're just not good enough, and sometimes that is the case. I thought they did well, being able to recuperate about 34 million of it. That's about most of what, that's about a little bit, more than 3/4 of what you had to do to get Calafiori. So I thought it was good business from Arsenal, being able to get that amount of money for a player that has not played much in the last few seasons. He has not played much, Emil Smith-Rowe. So I thought Arsenal, they did some really, really good business getting that money. I really think they did. So disappointing for later in the stint, but I think this is a chance that Smith-Rowe can resurrect his career at Fulham, because I think he's a player with some real quality. There's no question about that. They have some real quality with Smith-Rowe. So I'm fascinating to see how he does at Fulham with a lot more minutes. Manchester United, they're hoping to build a 100,000 capacity seated stadium within the next 6 years, sources say, and they're expected to make a final decision soon on whether or not they want to build a completely new stadium or redevelop Old Trafford. This project is set to cost about £2 billion excess. And United, they want to deliver a stadium with the capacity between 90,000 and 100,000. Sir Jim Ratcliffe previously said he would prefer to build a new stadium on the site of Old Trafford. But plans, they have not been finalized, and they look to talk, they want to talk amongst themselves. They look at SoFi Stadium in Los Angeles as a inspiration for what they want to do. United, they actually played Arsenal at SoFi Stadium on Saturday during their apparently the club bosses have visited LA a number of times over the last few years. So this is something they're very, very excited over. Andy Cole, former United striker, who's part of the group of, bosses that went to LA against Arsenal, said Manchester United fans and everyone in the north of England deserve a truly world-class stadium, and SoFi set the standard to aim for. I don't draw the comparison lightly, but you can see a parallel with the opportunity back home in Manchester. A new or redeveloped stadium at Old Trafford could be the focal point of revitalization in the surrounding area. Sources say United fans have also visited Bernabeu in Madrid and time at Wembley, as well as following the Chicago Bears. They have a project, the Burnham Park project, which was a plan for Chicago. So they have inspiration, and it'll be very, very fascinating to see whether or not this gets done. FIFA have received official formal bids for the 2030 and 2034 World Cups. They did these in Paris while the Olympic Games going on, and got their exclusive bids for the World Cup in 2030 and 34. Obviously, the 2030 World Cup being co-hosted by Spain, and Portugal, and Morocco, plus 3 individual games for in Argentina, Paraguay, and Uruguay. And then Saudi Arabia being the only candidate for the 2034 World Cup. And these 2 bids, they're going to be confirmed on December 11th during an online meeting, as they're both the exclusive bidders. So yeah, it's there's that going on. Canada is challenging a 6-point deduction by FIFA at the Paris Olympic Court. So Canada is appealed against being docked 6 points by FIFA during their drone spying scandal that's going on so far these Paris Olympic Games. And a verdict is going to be expected hours before the team plays its final game against on Wednesday. I believe they take on Colombia. Yeah, they take on Colombia. FIFA, did they take on Colombia? Yeah, I think they take on Colombia. Yeah, they take on Colombia. FIFA punished the Olympic defending champions on Saturday. They also banned Bev Priestman and 2 of their assistant coaches for a year. The appeal is based on the disproportionality of the sanction, the Canadian Soccer Federation said. They also say, which we believe unfairly punishes the athletes for sanctions they had no part in, and goes far beyond restoring fairness to the match against New Zealand. Canada takes on Colombia in Nice on a Wednesday night, and they need to know where it stands before the game starts, so they will know. The detection by FIFA will wipe out what Canada has done in their opening 2 games against New Zealand and France, when they were able to get that last-minute stunner over France, the host nation, with the second half comeback goals. And now, but even with the 6-point deduction, Canada can still advance to the quarterfinals in this tournament if they win on the field Wednesday, because of the fact that 2 third-place teams in the 3 group will go to the knockout stages. Canada officials say no player was involved in any alleged cheating, which they suspect has been a systematic issue over for years, potentially. But that's an interesting and a horrible place for the players to be in, needing to wait till hours before the final game to know, whether or not you really have to go for it in the final game, despite, pulling off that absolute stunner against France. It's a tricky situation. Speaking of Saudi Arabia, they plan to, they're going to be hosting the 2034 World Cup. They said on Sunday they plan to build a 92,000 capacity stadium in Riyadh that can host major international events. With Saudi Arabia, they're going to win the rights at the 2034 World Cup, and it's set to be completed. Should be set to completed in 2029, years before the World Cup, and it'll be the main base of the Saudi national team, and it'll be a part of a sports complex that'll have an indoor sports hall with an Olympic-sized pool and other facilities, and it'll be named after Saudi King Salman. The SBA said the design was chosen from several submissions by 6 international companies, ensuring that it meets FIFA requirements and standards of sustainability and architectural excellence. That's an Olympic-sized pool alongside all 92,000 the capacity stadium. That's what you can do when you have a lot of money, and we know Saudi is blessed with a lot of money. But yeah, thank you guys for tuning in to the GSMC Soccer Podcast presented by the GSMC Sports Network. Your support means a lot to us, so please remember to subscribe to the show and leave a positive review. It really does make a difference. We also invite you to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram for more content and updates. So thank you once again, and have a wonderful, wonderful day.
Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day. Yeah, I'm tired of shit, and the coffee ain't hit yet, damn, ain't that great. I don't wanna go to Let's go.